for our audience to know, what's the difference between a seasoned fund manager and his understanding of the market versus a common guy? Can you explain like the kind of difference there is,
Yeah,
just for people
yeah.
to know that how less of a chance they stand, when it comes to beating the market or beating this.
Yeah. So let's talk about how hard it is to become a fund manager.
Yeah.
right? I would assume that even if you put all of the fund houses together, there are probably 100 of these individuals.
Yeah.
So even if you're an IIM grad, and IIMs collectively have probably some lakhs in intake,
Correct.
to make it to this profession, the chances are 0.01%. I mean,
Correct.
it's hard. You have to be really smart. So that's the human side of it. Then they have all the data in the world, the computing power in the world. These AMCs are capitalized. I think it takes 50 crores to set up a mutual fund. That's the
Correct.
Correct.
So clearly they're able to access the best technology, which you and I sitting at home can't.
Yeah, and don't forget the access to promoters and management of the companies directly.
Yeah.
The amount of information that they would have, we simply, no matter how much we try, we simply won't be able to
Yeah.
match up to it. No.
Correct.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask me that, which stock should I buy, and I give them the most boring answer: buy a mutual fund, and they're not happy with it.
Yeah, they get upset.
They
Some
get-
people get upset. कि फिर तो तेरा क्या फायदा तेरा? What are you
I mean, that's what
doing?
we do for a livelihood, but
Yeah.
I think we get this the most, stocks or mutuals. But it's important for people to understand as well that whatever stock portfolio it is, right? It's impossible to calculate a return regarding that or whatever. Mutual funds have that the entire data. There's history. Everything is backed by data, which is not here. But then again, there are people out there who have millions of followers, and then they promote a stock, and it all goes down again.
And it's tax inefficient. I mean, you're getting dividends on stock which are fully
Yeah.
taxable
Correct.
Correct.
at your slab rate. All of that accrues to mutual funds, and you don't get taxed until you sell the fund.
Yeah, and all the trading, the short-term capital gains,
Correct.
long-term capital gains.
Correct.
I'm sure nobody is calculating the post-tax IRR. Post-tax IRR, maybe who knows if they're even beating an FT.
Correct.
In my opinion, I think a lot of people are not even beating an FT.
I would
Forget
agree.
post-tax,
Yeah.
but post-expense also. They don't even know what brokers they're paying, what
Yeah,
STT
correct.
they're paying, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But mutual fund में expense ratio सबको दिखता है, and that becomes then like a
And
talking
everybody
point.
wants to cry about the mutual fund.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've spoken a lot about, in terms of, the bad things, but honestly, there's one good thing as well. It's got people into the market. Today, India, let's say our markets, right? They're independent in terms of global markets or US markets as it wasn't 10 years ago.
Yeah.
10 years ago, if something like this would have happened in US, right? Where the debt ceiling or whatever you say, general, the inflation problems, right? India, our markets would have been messed up right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
We've been holding our own, and I think it's credit where it's due. It's because the number of people that have come in the last 3-4 years at
No,
least.
that's actually a really good point. I see a lot of people who have no idea what the markets are, but now they're talking about interest rates.
Yeah.
And
Correct.
like you said, the US debt ceiling and
Exactly.
all of that. And these guys, they don't read the paper, they're just watching videos.
Yeah.
And the fact that they know all of these things generally is a good thing, no?
Correct.
There are also a lot of now new age asset classes, right? I mean, equity, debt, all that is pretty much spoken
That's
about.
forgotten.
But stuff like luxury handbags, watches, P2P lending, things that are not in the traditional sense. So what's your view on things like that?
So we have to be really careful about them. We did a story on P2P lending.
Correct.
It's not clear what kind of NPAs they really have. So
Yeah.
the biggest platform today for P2P lending, which is Liqui Loans, they say that their net NPAs are zero, right? Take a second to think about that. Zero net NPAs.
That's
How does that, what is the math behind it? Essentially, they say that if you think of the collabs that they have with BharatPay or Cred, right? It's either paying 9% or 12% to the investors, lending it out at 20-24%.
Correct.
So whatever losses they have, they're saying get absorbed in that difference.
That buffer.
But how long will that last? I mean, the
Yeah.
people who borrows at 20 and 24%.
Yeah. Lakshmi Jet Fund.
Well, I get a lot of questions about this because it looks so attractive, right? That in debt, and because it's debt, it has to be safe, which is obviously not the case. But that you're getting 9%, 12%, then why go into the risky equity? And I tell them that debt in this form is even more risky than equity because you could lose your entire principal, and you're lending to people borrowing at 20% plus. So obviously not the best credit rating, and it's completely unsecured. If I borrow from Cred or from BharatPay, and tomorrow I decide not to pay anything, they can't do anything about it.
Yeah, it's unsecured and nobody's guaranteeing it.
Exactly.
Our funda with debt is very clear, honestly. Look, take whatever risk you want, even crypto for that matter. You want to take a risk, you take it there because you know for a fact what the outcome is, right? It can double your money or it can half your money, whatever, but it, right? With that, what's going to happen for the 9 or 12%, maybe 2 or 3% alpha, what you're struggling for, right? Or what you're trying to achieve, if in case things go south, right? Your 100 will become 0. It's not going to be 90 or 88 minus
it's
12.
a binary,
It's just going to be 0.
Asymmetric.
So that risk reward is absolutely not worth it.
Yeah.
And that's why I think these P2P platforms, correct? It's a temporary thing because of the liquidity which is there in the market right now. There should be one. It's going to be a domino effect whenever it does.
No, and the other thing is right now their total AUM is a few thousand crores.
Correct.
So they can be selective to the extent that they are
Yeah.
about borrowers. But when it becomes 5,000, 10,000 crores, those default numbers are going to start creeping up.
And I think their TA is also perfect. People who don't ask a lot of questions regarding. I'm not kidding. It's genuinely that.
Really?
Yeah, they offer loans to people who think that okay, fine. If I'm getting that much, that's fine. Worth it.
In India, generally, do you see other kinds of like Sayyam mentioned, luxury handbags, watches, and wines, that kind of thing? Do you see it coming up? Because I was actually reading recently, like a Rolex watch it's given a CAGR of like 20% in the last 5 years. It's beaten S&P 500, it's beaten the Nifty, it's beaten all kinds of markets, and I think these things are getting very popular. Which makes me think that people who are extremely wealthy, वो लोग अपने investments में तो कमाते ही हैं, फिर वो लोग जो use करते हैं उसमें भी कमाते हैं वो लोग. Their bags and watches and all of that. Do you feel like there's a market of that sort of emerging in India, like shoes? These alternative.
So I can speak about art.
No.
Because we did an article about IIM Ahmedabad launched an art index.
Okay.
They track the actual transacted prices of the top, I think 200 artists or so. I'll just double check this number.
In the world.
Yeah.
In India. Now,
In
this
India.
is an India specific art
Okay.
index. And the return has actually been, so they released the index, if I remember correctly, from 2002 till 2022, 20 years of data.
Yeah.
Now, the full period actually has outperformed the stock market.
Wow.
But, and there's a big caveat in all this, most of that growth happened in 2002, 2007. After that, the stock market has done much better.
Much better.
Okay.
So happy to share a link of this article with our viewers. But it's very so there is potential for these things to come up. But as investors, you have to just be very careful. Do all the research.
Yeah.
I guess that's the important thing. Like with any other asset class, it's not the entire asset class doing well. There are always pockets that will do well. Like with Rolex, it's a particular model that is appreciated that much. Not every single Rolex watch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, you have to have that knack of identifying those trends.
Correct.
That will do well.
You actually have to be passionate about the thing that you have to understand the product is what I've understood. Because even if you want to buy, let's say, a Rolex, these companies, they don't want you to use it they want you to use it for end use, they don't want you to be selling it around.
Correct.
So it turns out if you want to buy, let's say, $100,000 watch, you actually have to be spending $200,000 before that,
Correct.
before you can even get access to that watch.
You're right.
So if you actually take all of that into account, it's not a very good investment at all, but a lot of people do get fascinated by these sort of new
Plus
age
there's
asset
GST,
classes.
no, on all these things.
GST is
Also, but there's
28%.
a significant
28%,
company-specific risk also associated with these, right?
Yeah.
So, I think the example of Yeezy
yeah.
with Kanye, right? What
Correct.
happened right now? They just have a lot of stock pending, and
$1 billion I think they've written off.
exactly.
Yeah.
All these NFTs, what happened to that?
That was
It's all written off, I think.
Bathing ape NFTs and all of that.
Yeah.
Celebrities were promoting.
No, I just think it was some very smart guy with an insane money laundering idea, and it's all done. And
But
dusted that
this
way.
is a lot of the art industry or like art pieces. It's a very big part of the money laundering industry because
I'm sure, yeah.
the value of this, I can say it's $10. You can say it's $10 million.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
then
doesn't
if
matter.
you say it's 10 million, you can transport it for that much, and that's how you move the money. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
it's a
NFTs
great-
sort of were.
Yeah, it's a great mechanism for money laundering.
Yeah, but at least you are getting something, right? Even though money laundering, you're getting a painting with NFT.
You're getting a photo
You're
of a
getting a
monkey.
screenshot, right?
Have you invested in cryptos, NFTs, anything of this one?
I wish, at least in the boom
In
times.
the boom times, yeah.
And then I wish also sold at the
And at the peak.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.